Welcome to this open forum to hear from Zero Project Youth Voices of 2025. My name is Jovana Krivokuca-Milovanovic. I'm coming from Belgrade, Serbia, and I'm Executive Director of Youth with Disabilities Forum. I'm a white woman with long red-colored hair, and I'm wearing black and white. We are coming here from different continents, not just from different countries, but we are all aware that youth with disabilities face unique challenges in employment and ICT. Youth with disabilities often have limited access to quality education and vocational training, which can hinder their employment prospects. Also, youth with disabilities may face discrimination in the workplace, making it difficult to secure and retain jobs. Many workplaces and digital platforms are not fully accessible, creating barriers for youth with disabilities. Finally, there are fewer job opportunities available for youth with disabilities, especially in low and middle-income countries. However, there are a lot of good stories, successful stories, and we also had the opportunity to hear some of them in this conference, such as that some countries and organizations have implemented inclusive policies and programs that support the employment of youth with disabilities. The rise of digital entrepreneurship, e-commerce, and digital tools has provided new opportunities for youth with disabilities to start their own businesses or to work remotely. Advances in assistive technology have made it easier for youth with disabilities to access education, training, and employment opportunities. And there are numerous success stories of youth with disabilities who have overcome challenges and achieved success in various fields, serving as role models for the others. So, our speakers today will share with you their personal experiences, challenges, and successes in employment and ICT. But before I give the floor to our today's speakers, I would like to call Anna Königsider, Director of Business Partnerships and Operations from Zero Project, to say a few words about Zero Project Youth Voices.
Hello everyone, Hello everyone, welcome to the Young Voices at ZeroCon session. I will not steal a lot of time because I really want to give the floor to our great panel of today. I just wanted to seize this opportunity to personally thank all of you who have contributed in many different ways in the last 3 days to the conference in many different active roles. So thanks a lot personally, but also in the name of the Zero Project that you have shared your experience, your knowledge, your personal and your expertise, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back. And I also would like to take this opportunity to ask all of you in the room, if you're an organization who is working with young persons with disabilities, please approach us. We're really very committed to these Young Voices at ZeroCon program, and we have a lot of conferences coming up, and we would be really delighted to welcome more young voices at the upcoming conferences. I wish you now a nice panel, nice session. Thanks a lot, and please engage afterwards with our young speakers. They are here to talk to you and to share their knowledge and experience, and have a nice day, everyone. Ciao.
Thanks, Anna, a lot. Because Anna is really responsible. She made huge efforts for this panel. So I would like to start with Joe Kingdom, who is coming from Enable, Scotland. So, Joe, can you share with us a specific experience where you were able to leverage your strengths and skills to overcome a challenge in either your employment or ICT journey?
Certainly. So, in my role at Enable, I work with scanning large volumes of documents. But when I encountered a specific problem with the limitations of the scanner, which I use, it could only process a certain number of sheets at one time, which slowed down my workflow significantly. This became increasingly frustrating, especially when it came to dealing with large tasks which required a quick turnaround, or even bulk scanning tasks. some of the documents which I have to scan can exceed 30 pages, which I found out, much to my annoyance. So when it comes to scanning manually, which I sometimes have to do, this does not send to my email, which is especially annoying. So, as I've said, I work within the legal department in the Naval, and I often have to deal with contracts, and these can regularly exceed over 30 pages, which isn't ideal for scanning purposes. One workaround which I found suits me, and obviously it might not suit everyone, but it definitely suits me, is that I sometimes have to scan documents in smaller batches, and admittedly, this can take up more of my time, but it saves me a lot of pain in the long run. What I have learned from this experience is that it is never a good idea to do too much at once, and sometimes it's better to do things piece by piece or whittle by whittle. And I find that this is true in most walks of life, but especially so I'm also studying to become a paralegal at the moment, and I find that this is also true of that. So, for example, I sometimes I have to read paragraph by paragraph, and that works for me, taking the information. So what I've learned from this is that sometimes it's better to do things piece by piece, and honestly, this is something as simple as that, but I've learned it from just a simple photocopier. Thank you, conference, for listening to me talk.
Thank you, Joe. Now we are moved to Rhiannon Hawkins. She's a PhD student and graduate teaching assistant at the University of Glasgow in Scotland. So, Rhiannon, tell us, what do you think? How can youth with disabilities contribute to research and academic research careers now and in the future?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming today. It's so great to see so many lovely faces in the audience, familiar people that I've met. Thank you for coming, and also apologies, I might be repeating some of the stuff that I mentioned in my session on the Wednesday. So yeah, youth and opportunities in research. I mean, for instance, there are not that many PhD researchers out there who have disabilities, particularly young people. Just a verbal description of myself: I'm a white female from the United Kingdom, and I'm 23 years old. So yeah, accessing education hasn't necessarily been easy. And in terms of understanding how and what knowledge informs that has meant that it's been difficult for young people to be able to relate to what is being taught, but also relate to what knowledge is being produced in the first place and how schools convey that such knowledge. In terms of the future of opportunities, I mean, the fact that we have to overcome regular and frequent adversity to be able to understand and navigate the world provides a unique set of challenges, but also opportunities to understand the point of using lateral thinking. Lateral thinking and problem solving is quintessential in research because fundamentally we don't have innovation without it. And it means that we have better representation. Representation in knowledge is critical, and I think young people, through their lived experiences of global challenges such as climate change, can provide such innovation and insight because we've had to live in a generation where my generation is Gen Z, and Gen Z have never grown up without tech. We've never grown up without social media. We've never grown up without being in connection with the world's challenges. And I think that provides a unique insight because we can't run away from those problems. we have to be dependent upon them. But that also gives us an opportunity to be able to interconnect with one another and meet at summits like this and share knowledge and promote understanding, which you haven't previously seen before. And I mean, for persons with disabilities, our rights in the academic space aren't as easy to get and easy to navigate because of systemic challenges within the current education system. But now, with current equality and equality rights within educational spaces, it makes it easier to progress and gives us a better opportunity to be able to change those knowledge spaces. For instance, having youth with disabilities in research provides the opportunity to be able to create systems which actually work for us in our lived experience. We find people often have been in the past talking for us or writing research about us without actually consulting us at all, or seeking or understanding what our lived experiences are, particularly within not just in employment, but also within tech. People assume that the technology that we have used is accessible to us, but it's often inhibitively expensive, and educational institutions, particularly secondary schools which are funded by the state, don't often have access to these technologies. I was finding it interesting, actually, in the keynote speech about the wonderful Ray-Ban sunglasses. They sound amazing, but fundamentally, at the end of the day, young people like myself, we don't necessarily have the money to be able to go and buy these products. So having young researchers in the academic space who are able to innovate and make these technologies much more affordable gives us an opportunity to technologically advance and provides a future that is much more equitable for others, but also interconnects with other global challenges such as climate change. So we have a great opportunity here if we give that chance to young people, if we make education much more easily accessible by having better teacher training, by having more inclusivity within university spaces, by having more training within the workplace, it can enable us to be able to share knowledge, which is much more representative of our lived experience. So thank you.
Thanks, Rhiannon. So now we are moving to Paula MacDonald. Paula is a junior social policy analyst in Crown Indigenous Relations and Northern Affairs from Canada. So, Paula, can you share with us your personal experience as youth with a disability?
Perfect. Hello. Can everybody see me? Excellent. Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be welcomed to this stage. Describe who I am and what I look like. I'm a deaf Indigenous woman with long brown hair. I'm on screen. I have an interpreter speaking for me. He has a male voice, but I am a female, long brown hair, with a black shirt and a beautiful dress from my First Peoples cultural representation. I also have dangly earrings to represent, beaded earrings. I'm really thrilled to be here as part of this experience, to share my experiences. I do work for the federal government, and yes, it's true. I'd just like to explain my journey to get there. I never really had a dream of working for my government, but I ended up there anyway. My job is a junior policy analyst. It's focusing on accessibility, not focusing on accessibility under the department. It's for the Indigenous Northern Affairs relations. As a policy analyst, what do? I look at how the Canadian government has their own my journey into this position was going through what was hosted a 2-year program for people with disabilities to enter as a student work experience. I was looking for a perfect fit for me because I really wanted to learn a lot more about how our government functioned, and so it was a 2-year work experience. I was experienced in different positions in different departments for the government. I finished the program, I graduated as they say, and I was looking for a full-time position. It was a challenge for me. I've only had those 2 years of experience, and I ended up finding a network of people within the government. I think a lot of those experiences that I had with other people allowed me to gain a lot more experience, and that became a part of me. And I am also an advocate. I advocate for youth in my community. People look to me as an advocate and as a leader. I'm very excited to be brought onto that role as a youth advocate. But it's interesting because my dream of always being a youth advocate was not sidetracked, but I'm now a policy analyst within our federal government. So I do appreciate having both of these hats or both of these roles that I do. Sorry, the interpreter missed it. I focus in my team in terms of support and access, having interpreters available, because I do work with hearing people who don't know sign language. And of course, there's a lot of barriers that I face within my own position, and just for you to keep in mind. In Canada, we have we have two official languages. We have French and English. So for people within the federal government to achieve promotions or move up into higher levels of positions, you're requiring both languages or bilingual, so speaking English and French. So for me, I know this English as a language, but I do not know the French language. I can identify some terminology, some vocabulary, but I'm not fluent in French. In Canada, we have something called the Accessible Canada Act. It's a way for me to access these other positions with exceptions or exemptions so that I can use this Accessible Canada Act to achieve some of these promotions and higher level positions in our government and not having to be able to speak French as well. So I think maybe that's something that you can consider in your own home countries. If you do have more than one official languages, allowing exemptions to that rule so that you can encourage people who have disabilities to move up in the federal government. That's my time. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Now we are moving to Matthew Gallery. He's coming from Scottish Power, Scotland, yes. So Matthew, in your experience, what are some of the most important changes that need to happen in the workplace or in the education system to ensure greater inclusion and opportunities for youth with disabilities in the labour market?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm wearing a white shirt and grey trousers, and I wear glasses. One area that I think could be improved on is employers being trained on neurodivergence and other disabilities. I think by doing this, the employer will be able to understand and support the individual and make it a positive and safe environment for the employee. I also think that companies could benefit from giving young persons a voice to state their opinions and ideas on how to improve inclusion in the workplace and companies. Another point that I think would be beneficial for young people with disabilities is having a safe space for them if they're feeling overwhelmed and need to de-stress. For example, this could be sensory rooms, a physical space, or a quiet area. And have the confidence to reach out to their manager or a colleague if they are feeling overwhelmed or feel like they need support. I think that the university could support young people with disadvantages and being disabled by providing equipment and tech adjustments so that students can be successful. I would say that providing the student with one-to-one support could also be beneficial to help the student successfully manage their workload. On the supported university programme Breaking Barriers, which I was a graduate from, we were provided with one-to-one support from Enable, who worked with us to write a personalised learning plan which was shared with the university and PhD students on the course. The learning plan detailed my disabilities and any adjustments we felt were needed. The adjustments we agreed on were the following: having the Breaking Barriers programme lead support me with practical components if I needed support, having him there to meet me one-to-one for any support-related issues if I needed it, and having a quiet room booked out during university teaching hours if I felt like I needed to de-stress or felt overwhelmed at any point. And these are just some of the ideas that I think could be beneficial in the future for employers in the workplace. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Matthew. Our next speaker is coming from China, Zhitao. He is chairman of Changsha Vocational and Technical College Deaf Association. So please, could you share a specific experience in your work or IT journey where you were able to overcome major challenges by leveraging your strengths and skills, and also to share with us what did you learn from this experience?
Distinguished guests and friends. Hello, everyone. Thanks to the Zero Project, I feel deeply honored to have the opportunity to communicate with all of you here at the Voice of the Youth. My name is Zhitao, a deaf college student from Changsha Vocational and Technical College in China. I'm currently in my junior year and also serve as the president of the Deaf Association of our college. During my college years, I faced a challenge: how to unite 300 deaf college students from all over the country, each with their own stress, among more than 11,000 college students in the whole college, so that everyone could study better. After careful consideration, in my sophomore year, I actively mobilized my classmates around me and established the Deaf Association of our college. This is the only association initiated by deaf college students in Chinese universities, with the aim of creating a platform for mutual assistance, communication, and growth for deaf friends, helping everyone to tap their potential and continually improve themselves. My major is visual communication design and have a strong interest in the technology of self-media content creation and promotion. Based on the development needs of the deaf education in our college and the Deaf Association, I founded the first WeChat official account and video account initiated by deaf college students in China and received widespread attention. With my enthusiasm for the deaf cause, a quick acceptance ability of new things, and my innovative spirit, I was fortunate to participate in my teacher's project this year and won the Zero Project Award. These practical experiences have made me grow rapidly. Currently, I have been employed by a unit subordinate to the Civil Affairs Bureau of Wuxi, China, and will devote myself to the cause of the disabled in the future. I believe that disability should not be a reason for self-limitation, and we should believe in our own abilities and strengths. Secondly, there are various ways of communication. Although hearing impairment brings challenges, as long as we take the initiative to think about problems and solve them, we can always break through the difficulties. Just like I can improve my social communication ability through technology, such as AI voice translation on my mobile phone and the voice translation of my glasses. Persistence and hard working are the keys to success. Every innovation is a transformation and growth, which also makes me believe that advanced information and communication technology can promote the development of the cause of the disabled. And we are in the period with the strongest learning ability and have unlimited potential. As long as we are giving support and a suitable platform, we can create value for society. Thank you all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is coming from Sweden, and his name is Fionnathan Sohlmer. So please, Fionnathan, can you share with us your personal experience and maybe to tell us what do you think, what kind of changes need to happen in workplaces and education system?
Hello, my name is Fionnathan Sohlmer, and I'm a white man wearing blue shirt and have green pants. So I'm a youth representative of EFHOH at this conference, and I'm also vice chairman of Swedish Association of Hard of Hearing Young People, which is a member of EFHOH. I have been working for 4 years as an employment consultant in the private sector, which has also given me insights into the labor market. And I'm going to talk about some important changes that need to happen in workplace and education systems to ensure greater inclusion and opportunities for young people with disabilities in the labor market. A clear trend in the labor market is that jobs are becoming increasingly complex due to technological development. This means that more jobs require prior knowledge obtained through education. The proportion of people with hearing loss who pursue higher education at universities or colleges is relatively low. I have a hearing loss myself and can testify to the uncertainty I felt before I started studying at university. By receiving support measures such as note-taking assistance, I managed to obtain a bachelor's degree in human resources. Regarding the labor market, there are also challenges that young people with hearing loss face when entering the workforce. People with hearing loss often need assistive devices or speech-to-text services for meetings. Unfortunately, there is often a lack of access to this. It is also common for employers to use financial arguments to avoid making accommodation and to shift the responsibility onto other actors. In conclusion, I want to call for action to change the labor market for people with disabilities. We need to focus on ensuring both an accessible work life and education for everyone. All university teachers should receive training on how to make teaching accessible for students with disabilities. To ensure that teachers have this knowledge, it needs to be included in the curriculum for teacher education programs. The labor market must be free from phenomena such as ableism. We need to acknowledge that this issue exists and actively work to change the attitudes, behaviors, and perception of disabilities that are still being reproduced in daily work life.
Thank you, Fionnathan. And our last speaker, but not less important, is coming from Ireland. It is Fionn Angus. So Fionn, you are part of generation using technology in new ways. How is technology helping you to reach your career goals?
On the west coast of Ireland, I run a social enterprise with my dad, Jonathan. We call it Fionnathan Productions. I could not do what I do today without creative use of digital tools. We engage in media, the arts, and education. My arts practice includes playing my violin in public spaces. Traditional Irish music is inherently low tech, but I record my busking stats on my phone with a QR code for tips. When the Samuel Center in Canada partnered with Harvard Law School for social connectedness research. I and Caroline Nalawemba from Uganda were chosen to study how inclusive the UNCRPD shadow reporting process is. Our 5-month project was conducted online. I hope to meet Caroline in person soon. We'll meet as friends. Just a couple of Harvard fellows. 2 weeks from today is World Down Syndrome Day. I'll be speaking at the UN headquarters in New York. Everyone worldwide can watch the live stream. As a digital storyteller, I communicate viral ideas. For my happiness project, I've asked Brian Eno, Angela Lansbury, Leo Bradker, Temple Brandon, Judy Human, Coolio, and Killian Murphy. What do you love about your life? You will have to visit my YouTube channel to find out what they say. Just like 4 million others have. I predict that many of you will be following me on social media before you leave today. Fionnathan!
So we have to do it, yes? Okay, thanks a lot to all speakers. It's very grateful to hear such experience because you're a really excellent role model for the others. And Fionnathan in one moment said a call for action, and I think it's really important to everyone. So we have enough time for questions from audience. So please do anyone have some question for our fabulous speakers? Yes, please.
Thank you all of the speakers for their amazing talks. I have a question for basically all of you. So you know that we are all young and disabled, and we are facing double discrimination for that. First, because we're young, so we don't know anything, supposedly. And second, because we're disabled. So do you have any tips on how to face that in your daily life? Thank you.
Whoever like to respond, yeah, because it's a question for all. Okay, Rhiannon, yeah.
I mean, from my own experience, I often try, I know this is very hard, but often I try and drown the voices out. I'm like, okay, if you want to judge for that, that's fine, but we have our own ways of doing things. We have our own ways of navigating the world. We've never really followed expectation, or we've never really listened and acknowledged other people's perceptions of us. But we're just going to do our way of doing things. And that, I think, works for all of us on this stage. I think sometimes society has such constricting opinions of us that we have to go our own way to be able to exist. And I think if we do that, it promotes a more open and tolerant society, but it also promotes a chance for communities to change their ways they see persons with disabilities as people of action, as people of, oh gosh, my mind's just gone blank, sorry. As people who can spur on action and lead communities. We have an opportunity here. With this era in the 21st century, we have the most tools, the most rights that we've ever had. And even though the challenges we currently face in the world, we all are aware of, it gives us hope. The fact that we're all here today speaking is hope. The fact that we're here at the United Nations gives us hope. So I don't want to take too much time from the others. I think everyone probably on the stage has something else to comment on. So that's my thoughts.
Hi.
Paul.
Yes, I'll just wait until the screen, the camera's on me so that everybody can see me signing. Okay, thank you. In Canada, I can speak from that perspective. I'm a woman, I'm deaf, I'm also Indigenous, First Peoples, you might know it by. It's not easy. There's a number of Crown and Indigenous relations that exist between the peoples. There's a lot of assumptions of things we cannot do. We had a treaty that was, many treaties that have been signed, and a lot of, I've done some work in Indigenous studies where I've really researched the Indigenous treaties with the government from a long time ago. As a deaf person, there's not a lot of, sorry, the interpreter's backing up. There is a tremendous need for people, not only with disabilities, but me as a person with a disability and a woman and Indigenous, having an opportunity to move forward. So really pushing forth more advocacy to get movement and connecting with other people. You must connect with the individuals first, is my point here. You meet people, find your group, find your tribe, find the people that you can connect with to really work with you, so you're not standing on your own. You're working as a team effort. You can move as a group or a league of people, and then you are much more effective at affecting change once you have your group together. Then you can have recognition and identify, and then move through some of the barriers that exist there. Thank you.
Someone else? Maybe Matthew, you wanted to add something, or Fionnathan? No?
I will speak on this briefly. So, I myself, I find like being part of a political party really helps me with like that whole the whole speaking out against this sort of thing. Because being part of a political party myself, I find like I can suggest policy changes almost, and so I also realised that I did not give a description of myself, so I will do that now. So I'm a white man, a young white man, who's wearing a green and purple waistcoat, more green than purple, and also I'm dressed in a quite snazzy, if I may say so myself, shirt which has pictures of grouse on it, and I'm also wearing a hat. So yes, so basically what I want to say on this subject is that I consider myself to be on the front line of challenging people's expectations. And I find that's a very important part of my own development. So thank you very much.
Okay, do we have more questions? Yes, you, please.
what do you tell youngest people with disabilities to other people with disabilities?
Do you understand the question?
Vaguely, yes. So, as a person with disabilities myself, I would say to other people with disabilities that you can do anything you want to do, and don't let society hold you back. Don't let yourself be told what to do. Do it for yourself, and take that very much in your hands, and take your own development in your hands. Because I know myself, I know that, like, my school life, when I was going through high school, it wasn't the best of times, but personally, I found that if I wanted to do something, I'd do it for myself, almost. Like, sure enough, that sometimes they were very good at, like, giving me the opportunities, but other times I had to find them for myself. And I would just like to say that to our disabled people out there. So thank you very much.
Okay, we have a question there. One more.
Actually, not a question, but wanted to say thank you, big thank you, and wanted also to say that we will take, my colleagues and I are from Armenia, and we will take everything you shared here to the youth in Armenia and to inspire them. We are inspired ourselves. So thank you for sharing all your experiences and for suggesting how to improve and how to make a better life for youth, like for all youth. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, question please.
Hi, I'm from the United States. And first of all, I want to thank all of you. This is very emotional for me to listen to as a member of Generation X, my generation, faced so much discrimination. We paved the way for you guys, and it's so wonderful to see everyone. Now my question is for Paula, who's from Canada, and you work in the government. And so how do you recommend that we get more people with disabilities working in the government at the federal level of our countries? Thank you.
Great. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Hello. Just want the camera to zoom in on me so that people can see me signing. Thank you. That's an excellent question. I really appreciate it. Sure, I can give you some answers. It's important that the government themselves have, like for example, I went through a federal student placement program or job experience program. It was eligible for people with disabilities and Indigenous. So that would be the priority, to bring in or find a pipeline of people using those programs that exist. Working with peers or colleagues and hearing about positions that are available is also great, but that's not always the way that can happen. As a deaf person or a hard of hearing student, there's only a few organizations that, I'm sorry. There is, excuse me, the interpreter was just catching up. The most deaf and hard of hearing people generally apply or look for positions of employment in organizations that are already familiar with them. So they work in organizations that support their own communities. So, using social media would be a great idea. You can get on social media, use sign language, using interpreters. inviting deaf and hard of hearing people to apply or to be part of panels. It's really about representation, and I think at the federal level, that's great. Here's a perfect example of us on stage. When others see representations of themselves in these positions, it can be really empowering. I think when a student graduates or finishes a program, it can be really challenging finding that position to apply for within that structure. There's often screenings that happen, there's interviewing processes. They don't necessarily think that they're going to be able to be successful in these procedures or processes within the government. So I think encouraging people to apply, encouraging deaf and hard of hearing, well, of course, people with disabilities to apply, and actually just try to go through that process. It can be a really empowering thing to do. Thanks for that question.
Okay, we have one more question here, please, yes.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Christopher Sutton. I'm from Canada. It's such a pleasure to be here today and listen to all your stories. And for me, it's very inspirational. So thank you for sharing your courage and your lives with us. I think as someone that's been a part of the disability movement for a long time, I feel I can sit back now and retire because the future is bright, looking at you all up there. If you were to, one of the important things as a community, we need to work together. We need to, all generations, we must come together and we need to make an impact. If you were to say to the older generation, how can we work together with younger people, what would be that advice that you would give? And that's to anyone on the panel.
So it's a general question for anyone or for someone specific? Please, for anyone, yeah? Question, okay. Who would like to answer? Maybe Matthew, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's really important to listen to young people with disabilities to find out how we can improve their lives and make it a little bit better, and work with companies that may be employing people who have disabilities to bring in any equipment that they might need to support them the best they can and put them in a position where they can educate people about a lot of the judgment that they face and how we can improve and not be so judgmental and let them work hard. So yeah, so I hope that answers the question.
Okay, please.
Sorry, I also think providing more platforms like this, providing more invitations to organizations like this, the fact that the Zero Project has actually invited us, they actually supported me to come here, so I'm really, really grateful for that financial support, but also the platform to be able to speak about my work, because a lot of young persons with disabilities don't often have this platform. It's a very privileged position that we're all in today, and we're very, very lucky to be here because a lot of our community don't necessarily have this sort of space or have this opportunity to be able to speak to people who actually make decisions within the community about our rights to access education, employment, technology, and to meet people who genuinely can make a difference. So better access, I think, to international spaces, encouragement of young people to join charity consulting, maybe even become members of boards, and having a board of youth within your organizations, I think is a really good way for you to hand over kind of power and infrastructure for the next generation, to allow it to be transitional, to allow it to be shared, and also to allow us to be mentored as well. There's a lot of value and power in having a multi-generational led organization, and I think that's definitely a way forward.
Okay, so we have time for, two quick questions, okay? Okay, first lady in first row, okay?
Thank you very much. Lydia Best from the European Federation of Hard of Hearing People. I am really amazed to watch the young people, the new leaders of the youth movement in front of us. And as a former youth leader myself, I can see myself in you too. But also I see that there is a huge improvement. There is, comparing to how we were when we were in our younger days. But one thing is a common thread. The attitude still needs to change. And one of the things I heard some of the questions of the tips is that actually in the end of the day, we just have to go out and prove the people wrong when they have assumptions about us. And I really enjoy the discussion about the multi-generational work together. And in our organization, we are working really hard to bring the young people in to collaborate together. As myself, coming from the youth organization, is a huge value of young people. And one day, you guys have to kick me out from my board so I can retire. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please, just be short, please.
My question would be for whoever wants to reply, and is if they are seeing a change in the young voices, also with and without disabilities, and if they're seeing through intersectionality and change of beliefs, things getting better within the young voices.
I think in terms of attitudes towards young people with disabilities, it's an interesting topic because in certain institutions, I don't think it has changed. So, I think a lot of us can relate to that in our own educational experiences growing up as young people in the 21st century. We still face quite considerable amounts of discrimination within schooling. For instance, I didn't learn how to read and write until I was 10 years old. And I was told that I would never achieve any qualifications whatsoever because I wasn't able to read and write and learn in the same way as other people, or I wouldn't be able to speak either. And fundamentally, I was very lucky that I had good advocating parents which sacrificed a hell of a lot to get me to this position. So in that instance, I don't think it has changed in educational settings, but I think in other formats, it has improved in terms of kind of how people are seen in the media, for instance, and having representation on television programs, I think is important as well, and young people having a chance online and on social media to be influencers, like Fionn here. I think it really plays a role, but I think others might have other things to share too.
Yes, we have already great examples, yes, in that term. Okay, we have so little time. I just want a final remark from Zhitao, because Zhong, you represent diverse voices for 3 continents, if I'm right, yes? So how do you think the challenges faced by youth with disabilities around the world differ? Just short remark, final.
Okay. The situation and the challenges faced by disabled youth globally have both commonalities and differences. In developed countries, barrier-free facilities are perfect, making it convenient for people with disabilities to travel, and there are diverse forms of employment. However, they also face problems in professional communication and are mostly confined to basic positions. In China, we have always attached great importance to the development of the cause of people with disabilities. Education and employment policies are constantly improving, and an increasing number of disabled youth have received higher education. China has also introduced many policies to encourage enterprises and public institutions to hire disabled employees, and has taken measures to improve the quality of employment. The experiences of different countries are worth learning from each other. The advanced barrier-free technologies and concepts in developed countries can provide a reference for China to improve the level of barrier-free environment construction. In turn, China's achievement in polarizing education for disabled youth and supporting employment policies can also serve as a reference for other developing countries. I'm very glad to have met disabled friends from different parts of the world in these 3 days. Through communicating with hearing impaired people from different countries, I have found that there are differences in policy support and social awareness across various places. We should learn from the experiences of developed countries in policy formulation and promotion, and enhance the society's awareness of employment of people with disabilities. I hope to further strengthen communication with them and share experience and resources. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the voice of the youth platform of the Zero Project. The platform is of a great significance to us disabled youth. I also look forward to the next international cultural exchange event for disabled youth, which will enable disabled youth from different countries around the world to showcase their cultures and talents. This will play an extremely important role in building a more inclusive, equal, and hopeful future for people with disabilities. Thanks all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. There is much more to be said, but we don't have more time, unfortunately. So thank you all. Thanks to these lovely speakers. Thanks to audience, to sign language interpreter. So enjoy the rest of the day.